In a quiet village in India, where the mornings begin with the soft sound of birds and distant temple bells, a humble farmer started his day before the sun even touched the sky. Every morning, he walked slowly along a dusty village road toward an old well outside the village. Across his shoulders rested a long wooden pole, balanced carefully as two clay pots hung from each side. This had been his routine for years. One of the pots was perfect, smooth, strong, and proud of its shape. It held every drop of water from the well without losing a single one. The other pot, however, was different. A thin crack stretched along its side. Each day the farmer filled both pots with water and carried them back home. But by the time he reached his small house, the cracked pot had already lost nearly half of its water along the road. For 2 long years, this happened every single morning. The perfect pot felt proud of its flawless work. But the cracked pot stayed silent, quietly carrying a feeling of shame deep inside. It believed it was not good enough. But what the cracked pot didn't know was that its story was only just beginning. If you enjoy meaningful stories like this, follow Motivational Story for more inspiring life lessons. Day after day, the farmer continued his quiet routine. Every morning before sunrise, he walked down the same dusty path toward the old village well. The wooden pole rested on his shoulders, and the 2 clay pots swayed gently as he walked. The perfect pot always felt proud. It carried its full portion of water all the way home without losing even a single drop to it. This journey was proof of its perfection. But for the cracked pot, every step felt heavier than the last. As the farmer walked, tiny drops of water slowly leaked from the thin crack along the pot's side. At first it was only a few drops, then a small stream. By the time they reached the farmer's home, nearly half of the water had already disappeared onto the dusty ground. For 2 long years, this happened every single day. The cracked pot watched silently as the perfect pot completed its task flawlessly. The comparison slowly filled it with guilt and embarrassment. It believed it was failing the farmer again and again. One morning, as the farmer lifted the pots after filling them at the well, the cracked pot finally gathered the courage to speak. In a quiet and trembling voice, it said, "I feel ashamed of myself. Because of my crack, I lose water along the way. You work so hard to carry us every day. But I cannot do my job properly." For a moment, the farmer stopped walking. The morning air was calm, and the first light of the sun slowly appeared over the fields. The farmer looked gently at the cracked pot and smiled. There was no anger in his eyes, no disappointment, only kindness. He continued walking along the path toward home, as if he had been waiting for this moment all along. What the cracked pot didn't realize was that the farmer had noticed the crack a very long time ago, and what seemed like a flaw was about to reveal a beautiful secret. The farmer continued walking slowly along the familiar path, the morning sun rising gently over the fields. The cracked pot waited nervously, still feeling ashamed after confessing its weakness. After a few moments, the farmer spoke in a calm voice. "Before we reach home today," he said softly, "I want you to look carefully at the side of the path." The cracked pot didn't understand, but it did what the farmer asked. As they walked, it began to notice something it had never paid attention to before. Along the narrow dirt path, bright wildflowers were blooming everywhere. Small yellow flowers, soft purple blossoms, and tiny white petals stretched along the entire side of the road. The morning sunlight touched them gently, making the colors glow beautifully. The cracked pot was surprised. Every day it had traveled this path, but it had always been too focused on its own flaw to notice the beauty around it. When they finally reached the farmer's home, the cracked pot still felt confused. Yes, the flowers were beautiful, but what did that have to do with its crack? The farmer slowly placed both pots down and looked kindly at the cracked pot. "Did you notice the flowers along the path?" he asked. "Yes," the cracked pot replied quietly. The farmer smiled. "I planted those seeds a long time ago, and I knew about your crack from the very beginning." The cracked pot stayed silent, Every day as we walked back from the well, the farmer continued. The water you lost helped those seeds grow. Because of you, the path is now full of flowers. The cracked pot was stunned. The thing it believed was its greatest weakness had actually created something beautiful. Sometimes in life, we judge ourselves too quickly. We focus only on our imperfections, forgetting that even our flaws may serve a purpose. If this story is touching your heart so far, follow NT Motivational Story for more powerful stories that can change the way you see yourself and the world. The cracked pot stood there in silence, absorbing every word the farmer had just spoken. For years, it had believed it was a failure. It thought it had disappointed the farmer every single day. But now, a completely different truth was unfolding. The farmer gently continued, his voice warm and calm. You see, he said, the perfect pot carries water. But you create life. The cracked pot slowly began to understand. Every drop of water it had lost along the road was not wasted. Those drops had quietly watered the soil day after day. Without realizing it, the cracked pot had been nurturing the flowers that now decorated the path. The farmer pointed toward the colorful line of blossoms stretching along the road. Every morning when I walk this path, he said, I see those flowers. Sometimes I even pick a few to decorate my home or give them to people in the village. Their beauty brings joy to many hearts. The cracked pot felt something it had never felt before, relief. For the first time, it realized that being imperfect did not mean being useless. In fact, its very flaw had created something meaningful. So many people spend their lives feeling the same way the cracked pot once did. They look at their weaknesses, their mistakes, their limitations, and they believe they are not good enough. But life often works in quiet, hidden ways. Sometimes the very things we try to hide, the things we are most ashamed of, are the things that quietly make a difference in the world. But now the truth was clearer. The farmer had never been disappointed. He had never seen the cracked pot as useless. In fact, he had seen something valuable long before the pot ever realized it. Sometimes, the way we see ourselves is very different from how life actually works. Many people walk through life carrying silent doubts. Just like that cracked pot, they compare themselves to others who seem more perfect, more talented, more successful. And slowly, they begin to believe they are less valuable. But perfection is not what makes someone meaningful. A person who struggles may develop empathy. A person who fails may learn resilience. A person with scars may understand others more deeply. Just like the cracked pot, our imperfections can quietly create something beautiful over time. The story of the cracked pot teaches a simple but powerful lesson: you don't have to be perfect to be valuable. Many people spend years focusing on their flaws, never realizing that those very imperfections may be creating something meaningful in their lives and in the lives of others. So instead of hiding your weaknesses, try using them in a positive way. You might be surprised by what grows along your path. If this story made you think differently, follow NT Motivational Story for more inspiring life lessons. And here's a small challenge: reflect on one flaw you have and share your thoughts in the comments.